Well, the coffee machine has finished whirring and my mug is full. That can only mean one thing. Rail People is back. Yes, as I said just before the intro music, Rail People is back. If you haven't been with us before, this is the podcast from RailStuff.com. Selfless plug always comes at the top of the show, which is that is your place to go and get yourself some model railway scenics and accessories. But enough of that. It's time to crack on with the first show of the year. And I know it's March, but I am going to say Happy New Year because, well, it's the first one of the year. Apologies for the delay in getting back to Rail People. We had a baby over Christmas, so have been slightly distracted and figuring out new life and all that kind of stuff. But I thought now is just the right time for us to get back on with this. And the greatest thing is I've already got some great guests lined up for the first part of this year, including today's guest. Now, this is somebody who I met purely through Instagram. And talking about model railways on Instagram, and you get to know people, and there are certain people who do really nice stuff, and you start to talk to them, and hey presto, off you go. So today's guest is Dave from Bunters Yard. Now, many of you will have found Dave on YouTube. Some of you may have found him on Instagram before. Others of you may have found him somewhere else. Who knows? But we're here to talk about Bunters Yard and model railways today. So, Dave, hello, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon.
And how are you today? You good?
Not too bad. Bit chilly. It's not particularly warm out today, and it's colder in the studio. So all the resins are frozen over, and there's ice on the top of the all my acrylics. But apart from that, it's fine.
And for anyone who's listening from warmer climes, it may be March, but winter has returned in the UK, as it seems to do every year at the minute. You know, towards the end of February, you think, oh, here we go, here comes spring, and then bang, back it comes with a vengeance. And yeah, we've got snow forecast for later on this year, this week even,
this week. Yeah.
Anyway, enough about the weather. For anyone who hasn't come across you or Bunters Yard in some kind of way, shape or form so far, tell everyone a little bit about Bunters Yard.
So Bunters Yard mainly was just for weathering rolling stock and locos. That's kind of thing I like to do. But it's progressed to, we've got the 3D printers. We've got 5 3D printers, and they make little accessories and bits and pieces that we can add to some of our models, and quite a lot that we sell on eBay and on the website. And
through reputable, can't say reputable, that's not good, reputable retailers as well, of course.
Only the select hand-chosen one.
We'll mention that a little bit later on, I'm sure. So Bunters Yard, like you say, you started off weathering a few bits of rolling stock, and then it's just kind of developed from there. But is this something that's been going for donkey's years or relatively recent?
No, just by accident, maybe sort of 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't have, there was no layout at all. There was no interest. I had trains when I was like 12 or 13 or 14. But I happened to be at an auction to look at some vintage cameras, which I didn't buy in the end. And there was just a box of rotten old 1970s Hornby rolling stock and the Canadian diesel loco, I seem to remember, which I bought for 15 quid in the end. And I've got this sort of fetish with selling things on eBay. So I thought I'll put them on there, make a few pounds, and it'd be something to do. And kind of got involved in it that way, and ended up buying more and selling more via eBay to start with, and then a few of them sort of stuck. And I remember seeing a video on YouTube, JT Rip Track, I think it might have been something like that, and I thought, well, that's a good idea, I can weather them. So I already had the paints from when I was into my tank modelling, so and I had all the right colours really. So that's how it started. And they seem to go well, so I carried on.
You've already mentioned model railways and tanks and photography. You sound like a hobbies man.
My hobby is collecting hobbies. Yeah. So what else have we done? So we've literally today my drone has arrived. It's part of the photography anyway. So
What have you gone for?
It's the DJI Mini 2. So
jealous.
because we're in Southend, we've got all the flight paths around here. So there's certain restrictions, and on one side we've got the airport, the other side we've got the Ministry of Defence. So there's about a 2-metre stretch where I can fly the drone along the beach. So yeah, there's that. And then I was casting, well, I still am casting silver. So I've got a little furnace, you can't see it over there, that we cast silver with. So we make silver coins and stuff like that. Or I do, not we do.
I do that, by the way. I always refer to RailStuff as we. And
yeah, I do.
I think sometimes people think I'm schizophrenic or something. No, there's just me. I'm not imagining that there is a second person. Don't worry. It's just I do it by habit. Just say we when I'm talking about RailStuff.
I do. And I'm not trying to make it sound posher than it is, but I just always refer to it as we. So yeah. So
Bunters is just you, and you've got so is this because obviously I can see you, people listening to the podcast can't, but I can right now. This is like a business unit or a workshop. What is it?
Yeah, it's a service unit. This used to be the conference room. There used to be projectors and stuff up there. So I've got a carpet, which is really posh, and I've got 2 toilets and a kitchen, which no one else has got. So it's very, very posh, and 6 parking spaces.
Just the 6.
Only 6, yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
And there is a patio area, a bricked patio area with the pub bench outside, the picnic bench. So in the summer we can sit outside. Lovely.
And what would one do when sat outside on a pub bench, eh?
Drink coffee and eat cheese, probably.
Well, it looks like a really nice unit, and so I'm just going to paint the scene for everyone who's listening, wherever they're listening.
Go on then, make it sound better than it is, though, won't you?
Well, you've got white walls, and on the right hand side, some plastic boxes and some shelving that's got some stock on it, and a whiteboard. Is that a whiteboard? Yeah, love a whiteboard.
Custom things I need to make. So.
Yeah. And you got some of those little wall mounted pots up above it. I love those. I've got some of those up there as well. And then I'll talk about the back wall and the side wall in just a moment, but sort of in the corner, that looks to me like your weathering station. So what kind of stuff is over there?
Well, the products, you mean?
No. So what does your station look like? So if you're sat at your station, what's in front of you? What's at hand?
So on the wall there are there's like this pegboard that comes from IKEA. It's called Scardis, I think it's called, and I can 3D print all the racking and stuff. So whatever paints I've got, different sizes will go in there. So they're all sort of custom made. You can get them off of Thingiverse. So some I've done. So I've got the paints in front of me. All the Vallejo paints are in front of me. To the other side is all the powders and things like washes and so on. And then on the left of it, we're just starting to create a sort of like a gallery wall with all the weather stuff, but that's going to go on a different wall. So
I saw that, yes. Because our mutual friend SBJ was a little bit jealous of your racking, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he'll buy some soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will. So the 2 parts left to explain is across the back wall. It looks to me like there's some kind of layout. Is that right?
Yeah. So the back wall's about 3.5 meters wide. And there is like an end-to-end 00 gauge. That's Bunters Yard basically. That's what it's supposed to be. I don't think it's probably ever going to get there, because I've been sort of distracted by it. There's just not enough time to spend to finish that. It's all the time is taken just getting orders ready and all my other many hobbies that I like to participate in. But we'll see. He'll probably stay. to a degree, some of it will stay because they use it for photography.
Yeah, of course. No, but that doesn't look to me like it's the only layout in the room, because sort of up this end, so up the end where you're sat, but on the left hand wall as I look at it, that looks to me like the beginnings of another layout. Now, before we get back to the rest of our conversation with Dave, I wanted to tell you about a brand new product that has landed at RailStuff this week. It's from Migamo, and they've created a new brand called RailCenter. Okay, the spelling is a little American and questionable, but apart from that, the products are great, and the first two have arrived with us. Two paint sets. The first one for British locomotives, so it's got the blues, the greens, the yellows, and some other highlight colours to go in there as well, like some reds and blacks. And then there's a pack of British freight car paints as well. So they're available for $19.95 each, and you can find them, of course, at rail-stuff.com. I've given them a go. Really superb stuff, so why not give it a go yourself? But for now, let's go back to Dave. That looks to me like the beginnings of another layout.
Yeah, that's the beginnings of the TT layout. So the good thing about TT is that I can get a couple of loops in the space that I've got to use. So at the moment that's about 6x4, I think, but I can go another 6x4 in a little L shape in the corner. So the part you can see, that's where the it's going to be based on a place called Cinderford, which is in somewhere near Bristol, I think. This closed, it's gone now. It used to be a railway station there, and it's quite a simple thing for me to model because it's literally a one platform and a couple of buildings. So that's going to go in there, and then the loops will sort of go towards this end. So a bit of luck, I might get that one finished and be able to show it from time to time.
Hang on a minute. We all know there is no such thing as a finished layout. No. They don't exist. But anyway, we'll talk about TT a little bit later on. It's on my list to discuss with you, which is great. But the one thing I did forget to ask you was, we've mentioned Bunters Yard a few times. Where on earth does that name come from?
It's a very interesting story. I'm glad you asked that.
Oh, good.
So strap yourself in for this. I used to live in a place in a road called Bunters Avenue, and I just liked the word Bunters. And so when we moved, I didn't actually take the name with me, it's still on the wall, but I just took the idea of Bunters and it became Bunters Yard. And that's it. There's no, that's it. It's not interesting at all.
Okay.
Next.
Good.
Right. Do you want me to make something up and you can edit that out and I'll make something really exciting up?
No, you're fine. We prefer the truth. It's fine. I tell you what we can do now, though, is I'm going to hit you with the quick fire. So if anyone's listened to Rail People before, I always love to just hit some quick fire questions at people. So what I'm going to do, Dave, is one by one, I'm going to give you two options. So I'll say something or something, and you've got to choose which one jumps out at you straight away. Feel free to give a little explanation if you want, or if you just want to say it and move on, and then feel free. So first one, steam or diesel?
Oh, that's the hardest one. So
you haven't heard the rest yet.
All right, it's the hardest one so far. So the double O layout is diesel, which I really like, all the modern stuff. But the TT, all that's out is steam. So I'm kind of getting into the steam. There's something nice about the steam engines when they, with the way with the column rods and everything, it's just like a bit of poetry. So it's quite nice to watch those go around. So,
steam or diesel?
Diesel.
Diesel. There was literal pain on Dave's face answering that one. Diesel. Okay. Then let me just narrow it down a little bit. Diesel or electric?
Diesel.
Okay, that was a bit easier for you. Good stuff. Double O or TT?
Double O.
Just by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, if there was the space, and this is quite a big space, and I could have a nice layout in here, but I wouldn't be able to get through the doors. Double O is a nice size. It's easy to work on as well. The bigger, the better. TT gets a bit more difficult to work on if I'm doing any sort of weathering or anything like or building accessories because they become tiny. but yeah, if I had a choice, I suppose, you know, a double O layout would be my preference.
Okay, move a little bit more scenic now. Static or scatter?
Static.
Yeah, that would be a fairly easy one for me to answer as well. Okay, and two more left. They're a bit more weathering related. Airbrush or paintbrush?
Airbrush.
Airbrush. Okay, and final one. This is always controversial. This one for anyone in your game: enamel or acrylic?
Oh, acrylic.
Oh, okay. So what is it for you that just makes you jump at that straight away? Because I get people all the time come up to me at shows, and you know, they'll be looking for enamels, and I've got more acrylic stuff. Oh no. But then you get other people who are completely the opposite way around. What is it for you about acrylics?
We can wash them off.
It's pretty much as simple as that for you.
Pretty much, that's it. Yeah. I mean, if I make a mistake, I've got a chance of getting it off again. You know, if you put, yeah, I think I've got one enamel which is actually an oil. It's like an oil run, you know, from AK, and that's the only thing that uses enamel thinners. So, yeah, and that goes on last. So no, I've never used any enamels on them.
Very good.
Well, saying that, on some of the accessories, I use spray cans from Halfords. So that's not really enamel, is it? It's kind of a whatever.
I don't know what that is, but
not sure what they are, but it's that sort of thing.
It's certainly not acrylic, is it? So
no, but yeah. I wouldn't spray with trains in it.
No. Okay, right. So quick fire done. So I guess before, look, the biggest part of our conversation is really going to be about weathering and all that kind of stuff. But before we get on to that, I do want to touch on the TT stuff, because I threw that horrible question at you of TT or double O. But you are doing some stuff in TT. So how did you get into that? Are you one of the sort of Hornby affiliate type folk, or are you just doing it for?
I'm not one of the chosen ones. I'm not that special. I sort of had a few quiet months last year, sort of from the middle of the year on to the end, when something else distracted me. And when I got back on Instagram, there was lots of TT all over the place, and I kind of knew about it, but I wasn't really, you know, that into it. And then I was talking to, you know, Ben from Bluffers.
Yeah.
So he's one of the they're not affiliates. I can't remember what the word is, but anyway, he's one of the gang that go to Margate from, you know,
influencers probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a few, isn't there, that we know. So and he was saying, oh, you need to get into it, you know, with the accessories, because there's no one that does, you know, and they're easy to sort of rescale, and that's why I started to do a few bits, which I was going to send to him and never did, unfortunately. And then I thought, oh, I might just order a set, you know, so when it comes out, you know, I can make sure everything's to scale, and that's how I've kind of got into the TT. And I thought, well, I might as well have a layout now, so it's there.
And I mean, what's your thoughts on the scale overall? Because I know, it's interesting. Obviously, I've only just started watching the current series, the Hornby and Model World, and you see in episode 1 where they talk about bringing the TT scale out. You know, it makes sense, especially for Hornby, to do a different scale. But how sustainable do you think this scale is? Because I'm not seeing a huge amount of people move towards it yet, or maybe I'm just not looking at the right people.
No, I mean, the Pico do track, for instance, but I haven't seen any. I'm sure someone will correct us, but I haven't seen any other rolling stock or anything. But Hornby have put so much into this. I'm sure that, you know, it's going to have to carry on. You know, if they just pulled the plug, it would probably finish them off, because they've just invested so much to get this going. And there's lots of stuff coming out over the next couple of years, I guess. You know, from what I've seen online and what I've pre-ordered. I quite like it, actually. It's quite nice. You can get a lot into a smaller space, but I don't think it's quite a delicate thing, and you know, it's not the sort of thing you want to give to a child. I don't think it's a kind of a grown-up thing. I think that's my on it.
This is more of a hobbyist product, a modeller's product, rather than a introduction to model railway type product, which is interesting. I mean, it's difficult from a retailer point of view. I've been sort of playing with the idea of, should I start stocking some TT120 stuff? Difficulty is there's not a lot of stuff out there. I know that West Hill Wagon Works have got quite a big range of TT stuff. One of my suppliers, L-Cut Creative, they've just started doing some TT stuff, which is really nice. They've sent me a couple of samples, and it's interesting, but I haven't yet had a single person come up to me at a show and say, "Have you got any TT120 stuff?"
Right. I had my first order yesterday on the website for TT, for something that's actually listed as TT on there. So, which is quite odd, because all the stuff you can get from Hornby is all steam at the moment, and all the modern stuff isn't coming out. I ordered something which is like an IBC, like a tank,
yeah,
you know, like a plastic tank. They didn't come out until the 80s. So unless he's got some, you know, something from pre-Hornby, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, so I've sold some TT 120 bits now, so that's quite nice. So maybe it's the start.
Yeah. I have to keep thinking about it, but at the moment I'm finding so much more interest in N-Gauge. N seems to be growing and growing at a pace faster than anything else. Is that your experience as well? Do you do N-Gauge?
Yeah, so there are limitations of what we can do in N-Gauge, because if you do something like not that the listeners can see, there's a beer keg.
I'm not sure that I can see.
No, it's 4 millimeters high.
Jeez.
And that's the bigger one of the two. And they normally have a coloured stripe painted around, but I'm not going to paint them. They're just going to be plain silver. But yeah, I can scale some things down, but they become so small and, you know, insignificant in the end. So there are limits. So not everything gets scaled down to N. But I do sell a lot of N, relatively.
And obviously, so we've kind of lent here into the 3D printing side of things. You know, where did that come from? A desire to do 3D printing? Was it a hobby within a hobby that turned into a business within a hobby again?
Possibly. Let me. I don't know. Let me. I'll try and explain, and you can work it out. So I was. So I started on Instagram a couple of years ago. And just put some old pictures of some other wagons that I had on there, and it attracted a few people quite quickly. So I was quite chuffed with that. And there was a guy, and you may follow him, or he follows you, Dibs Shunting Yard.
Yeah.
So he was one of the first persons I spoke to, and we speak to each other each week. We're always chatting and stuff. And he had his resin printer. Before I'd started going on there, and I wanted some tires, and we were just chatting, and he said, I can print you some. So he showed me what Thingiverse was, and I found some files, and he printed me some tires to put in a conflat that I had. Just wanted a load to go in it, and he sent me these, and we sold it really quickly. And I thought, well, that might come useful if I get a printer. So then I bought the same printer that he had, and we just started making. You know, everyone makes wooden barrels and tires and stuff like that. And so I started making little bits just really to go in loads on the things I was building at the time. But me being me, decided to make some more and put them on eBay, and then it kind of just gets carried away.
So what kind of stuff do you make now?
The same sort of, the basics really. There's if you go on the website,
plug us the website.
buntersyard.co.uk.
Very good. Yep.
So that's it should be quite easy to find. So this is the second website we've had. We being me have had for Bunters Yard. The first one just got out of hand because it was we could upload all the products straight from eBay onto there, and it was very easy to do, but it just got a bit crazy. So that's all gone. So we started again, and if you look on there, it's nearly all barrels, oil drums and barrels, because there's so many variations of them. literally hundreds and hundreds of variations of barrels and oil drums and wooden barrels. I think there's 12 sizes of wooden barrels now, and you can have them anything from 2mm up to 34mm, which is about 5 foot in O gauge, I think. And you can have them open or closed or painted or not painted, and different variations of paint. But it's just there's just hundreds and hundreds. So barrels seems to be the main thing, and oil drums seem to be the main thing at the moment. But we've got typical things you're going to find in the yard, you know, the IBCs and, you know, the tanks and stillages, and what else? Relay boxes are always really popular. What else sells well? They're the main ones, really.
Just reminded me, I must get some relay boxes off you, because I actually filmed yesterday part 2 of the shed.
Yay!
So I finally did it.
Oh yeah, the shed. Yeah, I forgot to mention the shed.
Yes, and so you've got various sheds. So you've got, let me see if I get this right. So you've got a pent shed, and then you've got an apex shed, which comes in no windows, single window, and double window variants.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
And you've got some wooden pallets as well, which are very nice.
And wooden crates.
Yeah, but that little range of products that I just mentioned, so the different sheds and the pallets are also available at rail-stuff.com right now as well. And if you come to me at any shows as well, then I've got the range there. And Dave was kind enough to send me some example sheds as well that have been built by somebody who knows which glue to use as well, I think.
Yeah, I've only got one glue. Everything super glue gets everything done. So,
I mean, what kind of idiot would try to use some kind of other glue on that?
The thing is, I don't think super glue is even the right thing, because if you use it on black filament, it does actually melt it. It does make a bit of a mess. So it doesn't look. It looks okay on the wood. So we're okay with the shed.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the plans with the 3D printing side of things? Just to carry on doing what you're doing, or go a bit bigger? What's the crack?
I think at the moment, because there are bigger printers, but I don't think I need anything bigger, because I don't want to sort of end up printing buildings. I think, you know, the filament printers are not the right thing for those. The quality is not quite there. So yeah, just smaller wooden accessories. The filament printer just prints wood now, because I think it looks quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
So just gonna looking for any ideas really for on there for things that are made from wood. So we've got pub benches. There'll be more variations of sheds and potting sheds and all different sizes, and garages.
Line side buildings, thought of those? Like little plate layers, huts and things like that.
Yeah, and they just, you know, the thing about the sheds, you know, if you buy a shed in real life from a shed manufacturer, they use the same panels for different sheds, so they just send you a different kit, which is exactly what these are. So, you know, the panels that make up these, they're just stored in a little file. I mean, if I want to make a different variation, I can just sort of drag them in and put a different kit together, basically.
And did I see you've got some shiplap garden fencing as well now?
Yeah, I haven't quite finished those yet, but yeah, there is some shiplap, and I like to. There's some broken ones. I don't think I've showed those, but there's some that are all sort of ripped to bits, and they're my favourite ones. I like those.
Sounds like my garden. Well, one panel anyway. The rest of it's all right. But yeah, okay. So if anyone has got some ideas, I assume you're open to those, and they should get in touch.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'm always up for something new. So yeah, I mean, it's finding out what people want, really. I don't know until I try it, you know, on Instagram or eBay on the website, and see what response we get. So.
Oh, very good. And you know, we've touched on the website now, which kind of leads me on to talking about weathering. And there's because obviously this is probably what you're best known for, is the weathering side of things. So both the products that you sell, but also the videos that you do on YouTube, and all of that kind of stuff. So in terms of how you got into weathering, you mentioned earlier it was that you literally just saw some YouTube videos and thought, that looks like something that's worth having a go at.
Yeah. So I went for a little spell of making model tanks when I was actually in Bunters, when I lived in Bunters. Well, we had a shed out the back, and I was making some model tanks there. And I go on YouTube, and there's a couple of guys on there, Plasma and Night Shift, and they're doing some really lovely sort of stone chipping and some rust effects, and that was kind of what I really enjoyed. And then when I had the wagons and I wanted to do something with those, I just remembered those sort of techniques from the military modelers, and started to sort of use those, and so yeah, similar things like stone chipping and like salt chipping and hairspray, that sort of thing, all the techniques that they use, and I brought it over to Model Railway.
So are you completely self-taught on weathering then?
Yeah, well, apart from watching YouTube, yeah, I mean everything is on YouTube now. So.
All right, in which case, it's probably I'm going to ask for some advice here, and this is personal advice. I have just bought my very first airbrush.
Good.
Because I had a bit of Christmas money, and I thought, do you know what? I've always wanted an airbrush, so I'll get one. I've only gone very, very basic at the moment, just to get started with, because hey, I might not get on with it. So I thought, right, I'll give it a go, and off we crack. Advice for a first-time airbrusher who wants to open the box and have a go, but sort of is a little bit apprehensive about where to start and what it's going to be like.
Okay. So if you're talking about like paint-wise, people like Vallejo, for instance, they do 2 lots of paint. So they do a model color and a model air. So air obviously suggests it's airbrush. So it's already pre-thinned, because one of the biggest problems that I had when I started was not knowing that air meant it was thinned. I just thought it was called air, for instance. So if you use model air, it's already pre-thinned. You haven't got to worry about putting in too much or too less thinners in.
So what I'm using, and I should have said this earlier, I'm using MIG ammo stuff, right, because that's what I sell. And I've got myself one of their kits, which is the Railway Fast Method kit. So I think that does need thin.
That's already thinned, isn't it?
I don't know. I need to check that first. Is it already thinned? Okay, I'm going to write this down.
I don't. Yeah, it would normally tell you on the box if it's ready for airbrush or not.
Okay.
If it's not thinned, then you would need to use proper acrylic thinners.
Got some? Yep.
And you would mix it 50 to 50-50, basically 1-to-1. Consistency of milk, as they always seem to say.
Okay. And then, in terms of spraying for the first time, should it just be a case of, look, just give it a go and see what happens?
Yeah, give it a go. I mean, I always say, especially on the YouTube videos, is if you've never done it before, there's lots of old rolling stock. You go to the shows and you can probably find a box of broken bits and pieces, and just practice on those. If it doesn't work, throw it in the bin. Or if you want, you just soak it in meths for half an hour, and it'll all come off, and you start again anyway. So
I watched your paint stripping video a couple of weeks ago, actually, the one where you did this. I don't know what it is. It might be the soft music that you have in the background, or
whichever thing that everyone moans about.
No.
Yeah, no one likes the music. Everyone hates the music.
No, right. You've got this soft music in the background, and you've got quite a soothing voice as well. They're actually very soothing videos, I found. I just sat there and watched it and thought...
that play them to go to sleep, which I'm not sure is a good thing. I know Dibs watches this when he's cooking at night or something, or having breakfast. I can't remember, one of the two.
That's a nice thing.
And a few people have mentioned... although I can't hear it from from your own voice inside your head, a few people have actually made a comment that I'm the Bob Ross of the weathering world. Is it Bob Ross?
I think I know who you mean. Yeah,
the American painter guy.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I mentioned to you earlier that I originate from Essex as well. So you Essex born and bred?
And I was born in East London.
East London, okay.
So I was actually born in West Ham.
You Hammer then? No, okay.
No, I don't have any affiliation with a football team.
Okay,
I worked at West Ham.
Oh, did you? Did you?
Yeah,
What did you do there?
a couple of years. I didn't work for West Ham. I worked in there for Ladbroke, so I was a betting shop manager. So I used to run one of the booths when it was at Bowling.
I bet that was entertaining at times. Yeah, anyway, I've completely lost track of what I was saying before we got. Oh yeah, so I originate from Essex.
Yeah.
But I don't really have the accent anymore. And I was only saying this because obviously I can detect, and now you say it is more of an East London accent, but I lost mine because I went to university and did broadcast journalism, and in those days you weren't really supposed to have an accent if you were going to go work for the BBC. I mean, it's completely different now, but in those days it was kind of frowned upon to have an accent, so they actually brought voice coaches in for any of us that had accents. And I got told that apparently the Essex and sort of London southeast accent, we've got lazy tongues. So they used to make me do tongue exercises to strengthen my tongue to help with diction. But it's just no. There's something very soothing about your voice in your videos. That I watched that paint stripping video, and not only did I learn a lot about stripping paint, but also I felt completely chilled out afterwards. Yeah. So
if you ever heard the outtakes, then it wouldn't be that chilled, because sometimes the dog comes and sits with me, and she will bark at anything in the car park, seagulls, bands, and anything. So I normally do the voiceover. I'll normally do it in sort of 6 to 8 minute sections, and I'll get to 7 minutes 50. And she will bark at a leaf, and then I get quite annoyed. Then I start all over again. So the outtakes are not as soothing as the finished product, it would seem.
Oh dear! What kind of dog do you have? I mean, it's, we talked to Richard from New Junction about his dog, because everyone knows his dog, Lulu. But what kind of dog do you have?
Well, so Ruby is a black female Labrador.
Lovely.
And we went out to buy a male golden retriever, and we come back with her. So we got it completely wrong. It's like me going to the auction and buying a camera and come back with a box of Hornby. We end up with Ruby. But Ruby is she's the absolute best dog. We're still going to get a Barney one day, but I don't know if they'll ever be as good as our little Ruby. So,
well, it's a bit like when we went out to get our cat. How long have we had her now? About 5 years. And we went to the rescue centre and we were like, no, we're getting a boy cat, because we'd read all this stuff and it was, get a boy cat. So we were getting a boy cat. We've got a girl cat. Because she was the one that we just went, no, that's the one. That's the one. So
Barney's the idea of a dog. Barney was just an imaginary dog. I just got carried away. You talked to my wife about this dog Barney that we didn't even have. And we used to drive down the road and go, well, that house, that's where Barney's mum and dad lived. And she said, well, shut up, you're being silly. I created this whole sort of dog persona. And everybody in the family knew who Barney was, although Barney didn't exist. They would talk to me as if Barney was a real dog. So we actually went out to buy Barney, and then we couldn't find it, so we bought Ruby instead.
Well, it sounds like a very wise choice. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to recap on the airbrushing side.
Yeah, sorry.
I should just give it a go. I need to check whether my paints are already thinned or not. If they're not, I should go 50-50 mix between thinners and the paint.
Yeah.
Until I get.
Make sure you use acrylic thinners.
Yes, yeah, I've got some of the MIG Ammo acrylic thinners as well.
Yeah.
And
you can normally tell if it's thinned anyway. If you pour a bit into the cup, if it comes out, like I was going to say, what
gloopy.
Yeah, that'd be the word. That wasn't the word I was going to use. But if it comes out gloopy, then it needs thinning. If it comes out like milk, that's all consistency, then it's already thin. Okay,
right. I'm going to give it a go at some point this week. I will give it a go. I guarantee you. So, right, that's some advice for me. But what about for those that are sort of trying weathering for the first time? What advice can you give them? Because you know what? And I'll let you answer the question in just a second. But obviously, I go to a lot of shows up and down the country, and I've got quite an extensive range of weathering stuff now. And the biggest question I get is, what should I use? Where should I start? Quite often I end up recommending pigments as a good starting point because they're quite versatile. You can do lots of different things with them. But for somebody who's going first time, what's the critical things that they should get to start with, and how should they do it?
Okay. Well, if you, if you look at other, makes of rolling stock that already do weathered, as an option, such as like RAILpeople, and they're not the best ones, to be fair. They're normally just blasted along the bottom in some sort of red mud colour. So that's the main thing to start with. I guess, if you have just I think is it Sleeper Grime? I think is one of the
rail match ones, yeah.
So a brown colour. I use US Earth or something like that. One of the Vallejo colours. I'm not sure what the equivalent will be in AK or MiG or whatever. So I would just start off with, if you're only going to get one colour, then just get a brown just to do the underside with, the chassis along the bottom. Just do it nice and lightly. It's easy to put more on than it is to take it off. So just give it a nice little pass. Pressure not too high on your airbrush. And then wait for it to dry a bit, 10 15 minutes. And if it doesn't look right, put some more on. And that's what I would say, really.
And what about pigments? How do you work with pigments?
What the method of applying them, you mean?
Yeah. And obviously, when I say pigments, other people will know them as weathering powders, but I call them pigments.
I've been told that powders and pigments are different. I'm not. Pigments seem to stick better, I think, because it's finer. I think anyway. So there's certain colours that I use. So Humbrol do. It's called Dark Earth. And I've got a pot of that. I've had it for years. The same pot. It just goes on and on, and it's just a nice dirty colour. Really, it's just like a nice brown colour, but it makes that nice fade between your painted area and the bit that's not, rather than being sort of a distinct line where you've finished your airbrushing basically, and you can blend it in nicely. So I would only apply that on something that's already painted. Because if you just got bare plastic, it's never going to adhere to that. And then when you varnish over the top, you're just going to blow the whole lot away.
Yeah.
So I use a nice big soft brush. Once the paint has sort of gone off a little bit, I wouldn't wait for it to dry completely. 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'd start with with that, and then the pigment or the powders will stick to the your paint layer already. And not wash off as much when you varnish over the top of it.
And what about washes? Do you do much with washes as well?
Not a great deal, no. I have done in a couple of videos before. So for panel lines, if you want to accentuate those, only for those sorts of washes, sort of pin washes, rather than a wash to make something dirty or faded. No.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned earlier about go to some shows and pick up some cheap rolling stock. I went one better this weekend. I was at the Preston show, and there was a guy there who was selling just bodies. So literally just bodies for, and I got an HST body for £2. Yeah, and a Eurostar body for £4. So I've got two bodies there for £6, and they'll be perfect for practicing on. Obviously, at some point, I'm going to need some, some chassis to practice on as well for all that kind of stuff. But I thought just a starting point with the airbrush that will do me quite nicely. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Just need a grime colour to go along the bottom of the body. Always looks nice on the front of those sort of locos. If you thin your paint down a bit more on the front, paint the whole of the front, and then while it's still wet, pretty much straight away, just wipe it off with a cloth. You're never going to get all of it off. A lot of it's going to stay in the detail, and it just looks like someone's trying to clean it really badly. or it's been through a wash. So I do that quite a lot. If you watch some of the other videos, I'll paint the whole side in whatever color I'm going to use, maybe like a sand color, and then just rub it off really quickly, and it just looks like it's faded and gone a bit dusty, really.
It's incredible. The whole I find weathering absolutely fascinating, and it's straight. I was always one of those people that I didn't want to weather any of my own stuff, because you spend all that money on something that is pristine looking, and you sort of don't want to detract from that. But then the more and more weathered stuff I see, the more I think, oh god, that is so good. Yeah. So did you ever hesitate about weathering stuff, or was it for you just a no-brainer? Let's do it.
No, it doesn't really bother me, really. Having said that, the TT have not been weathered yet. There's something I want to try on one of them, so I'm just sort of practicing on something else before I commit to doing it on that, because it's not something I can reverse. I can't wash it off, so we'll have to wait. I've got something on the side that's kind of one of the final tests, and then before we go and do this on YouTube. And when I do it on YouTube, it's the first time I've done it. So anything we ever do on there is anything I ever do on YouTube, the time you see it is the only time I've done it. I've sort of practice. Sometimes if it's on a wagon, for instance, the other side is already painted and I won't show you that side, so I might have had a little practice in a way, but that's still the first time I've done that particular wagon.
Oh, that's good. That's great. So what is the plan for you for Bunters in the future then? Or are you one of those that doesn't really have a specific plan, and you sort of go with the prevailing wind?
Yeah, that's more like it, I think. Yeah. I've kind of got a list of YouTube videos, so I'm kind of working through those. The plan is to get the TT layout. Mate, I've never been to a railway show, so RAILpeople in a couple of weeks is the first one I'll ever been to.
Oh wow! Right, okay.
Go to Worley as well to have a look around, have a little mooch around there. I don't think that my TT layout will ever be good enough to exhibit any of these, but it'd be nice if it was. Then I could have my accessories on there and some weather bits and pieces. So I really want to do more of that. Lots of the stuff that's on the website, most of them are all painted now, because loads of people have got access to resin printers, so everyone can make their own barrels, or if you don't, you can go on eBay and you can choose between 100 people who sell the same thing. But my barrels, for instance, if we talk about barrels, they're painted in a particular way, and they are mine, so the people are buying, they are unique that way. So to do more sort of finished decorated models, really.
It must take you an absolute age to prep stuff for sale. It must be really difficult to price things given the amount of time that you put into them.
Yeah, it is difficult, and I'm trying to work out a way where, because rather than having one of everything, or a stock of everything, this room isn't big enough to do any of that. Because if you look at, let's talk about barrels again, for instance, there are literally thousands of different options that I offer, and they all sell at a different pace. So I did go through a stage of just making them sort of hand to mouth. I'd have the blanks and then I would quickly paint them, and they don't take too long to do. But I'm going through a process now. If someone orders one, I'll make 6 sets, so then I've got the stock, and it's quicker to make 6 in one go than it is to make 6 individual sets.
Yeah.
And then I might get a lucky day where I only sell stuff that I've got on the shelf. Then I can go out with the drone or play my guitar or something like that. So.
Oh, there's another hobby as well, is there?
Oh, do you not know about that?
No.
I play in a band. It's a 12-piece. It's a tribute band.
Oh, actually, yes, I did know, because there's been a couple of times I've messaged you and you've said, "Oh, let me get back to you. I'm just about to go on stage." So, yeah, tell us a bit more.
So that's so it's a 12-piece. Like I say, it's a 12-piece. It's a Blues Brothers act. So the first half of it's all theatre shows. We only do theatres. So the first half is the commitments. And we've got like brass section, and we've got 3 girl singers, a couple of guys, backing section, video, and all sorts of stuff. And then the second half is the Blues Brothers, which everyone loves and gets up and dances and wear their hats and stuff like that. We've been doing that for 10 or 11 years, I think now. So we've got, I think this year is 24 shows. I think next year is about the same. 2025 is already starting to book now. And we just travel all around the country doing that, basically on a weekend. And then every other year we have 3 or 4 days in Wales where we do 3 or 4 shows, one after another, which is quite nice. Our little jolly up. So yeah, that's quite good. I enjoy doing that.
No wonder.
And I weathered some guitars as well. I actually one of my hobbies was making bass guitars. So I used to buy them off of eBay, and I'd repaint them and sort of repurpose them and sell them on again. But I had because you can buy relic guitars if you have a look, and they're very expensive. But I didn't want to spend that, so I started to relic a couple, and I had one painted up like a Willis Jeep, so green with the star, and that was all rusted, and that was quite nice. I enjoyed making that.
My dad is awaiting delivery of his Willys Jeep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice. Fully restored. So yeah, I still don't understand why, but why not? Hey.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so that's what we do. That's the weekend taken care of. Is the band, and then the family seem to want some time as well with me. So for whatever reason,
dare they?
I know, and the dog as well. So, but they're coming with me this weekend. We're going on a road trip this weekend.
Fantastic.
With the band.
Sounds like you've got plenty going on, which is great. I mean, what is on the project table at the moment? What's on the weathering table at the moment? Is there an open project that you can tell us about?
Nothing that anyone's going to want. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there that are sold orders that just need finishing off. So I'll be doing those after this. They're just bits that need a little bit of paint and weathering, so nothing special. I found a Lima CTT wagon, so like a postal sort of wagon, which someone had tried to weather before I got it, and I got it off eBay for like next to nothing, I think, as part of a job lot. And I just sort of playing around with different things on there. Someone will buy it, it'll sit in the siding somewhere. I'll pop it on eBay at some point, it'll sit on the siding in someone's layout, I'm sure. And what else have we got on there? They've been on Instagram recently. I've got the Bachmann MEAs, so the ballast things. I've got about 12 of those, and then I don't know how it happened. By mistake, I think I ordered 6 of the Oxford RAILpeople things, and so I've done 1 of those, and then they take quite a while to do. But I've got another 5 to play with, so we'll do some variations of that.
Yeah, and I recently saw your video where you went through your crates. And you've got plenty to be getting on with, haven't you? So you're not going to be bored anytime.
I didn't show it all. There's more.
Oh my god,
there is more.
Oh well, fantastic. So I guess it makes a little bit more sense now to know that you've not been to a model railway show before, given the band situation, but you've managed to find some time off in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we haven't got a gig. We've got about 4 weeks off. It's just because of holidays and stuff like that. So yeah, we've got a few weeks off. So we're going to RAILpeople on the Saturday, because Sunday's Mother's Day, and I think the motor racing as well. So
yeah, I mean, a double whammy for me. Number one, I've gone and booked myself to be away on her first Mother's Day. That's not great. And then number two, there's Formula One that weekend, and but at least that I can watch when I get home. But I can't make up for the Mother's Day missing. But,
no.
But still, it is work. I'm not going for a jolly. I'm going for work. So,
of course, yeah.
That's what I'll keep telling you.
So that'll be the first one, and then we'll go to Worley. When I say we, there will be more than one of us. A friend of mine's coming as well, so we'll go to Worley we like the NEC from time to time, so we'll go there.
So what are you looking forward to seeing most at RAILpeople?
see what everyone else is up to, really, so we get some ideas. Difficult to find something new, really. Everything I can think of, someone already done. So, but all I can do is maybe do it differently or do it better.
Well, I'm sure it goes without saying that you'll want to drop by stand 69, which is RailStuff. So yeah, I'll be there sort of somewhere in the middle-ish, I think, of the main hall. Similar to where I was last year, but a little bit further down. So, of course, anyone else that's going to RAILpeople, come say hello as well. In terms of shows for us, it's got Alexandra Palace, which is the 18th and 19th of March, and then after that, where am I off to after that? I think it's probably South Notts at Cotgrave Welfare, which is the first weekend in April. And then I'll be off to Bristol in April as well for the next sort of BRM show. And then as we start to head in towards summer, it starts to go a little bit quieter. I've got the 7 Mil show in Burton, and there's a couple of others on the go. And then when we get to September and October, it's just nuts. Absolutely nuts show season once again. But I love a show. And this year, I think we've got 34 booked for the year so far. So keeping very, very busy on those. But
34 shows or 34 dates?
34 shows.
Really?
Yeah. So 34 weekends. And some of them are a real trek as well. You know, we did Scotland a couple of weeks ago. Again, I said we. I did Scotland a couple of weeks ago. That was a long way to go, but what a show that was. Absolutely mega stuff. We do some of the other big ones like Milton Keynes. We'll be at the Gaydon show at the end of October. Won't be doing Worley. Just can't quite bring myself to spend that kind of money on a show yet. Scotland was my most expensive show ever, but it paid off. But I'm not sure I'm quite ready to risk it for Worley yet.
Maybe we can have a look at Worley, see if we can do a joint stand.
Yeah, it's deep pockets time for Worley. The one thing I have found out though is that I might qualify for some kind of small trader discount or something. I don't know. So maybe I'll look at it, but I don't know. I'll have to take some brave pills before I re-enter that conversation. But look, anyway, we're approaching an hour's worth of conversation, and Dave, it's been fascinating to listen to your journey and all about what you do right now. If there was one last piece of advice you could give to anyone who wants to have a crack at the kind of stuff that you do, what would it be?
Just give it a go. Everyone's got a cheap bit of rolling stock or something that's broken. Just give it a go. Airbrushes are not particularly expensive. I wouldn't skimp on it. There's the Neo is about £80. That's worth investing in, because if you get a cheaper one, they can be hard work and it might just put you off. So that's what I would do. Spend a little bit of money on the airbrush. So I say the Neo's about 80 quid. A couple of paints, a rotten old wagon, and away you go. Just make sure you keep your airbrush clean.
Yes.
I've got to go on that as well.
I'm terrible at cleaning paintbrushes, but I'm going to have to be good at cleaning the airbrush now.
There is a video on YouTube. I've got a video on there about cleaning airbrushes. If you've not seen it, it's,
I will watch it.
A revelation, apparently.
Give a final plug to YouTube, Instagram, website, all that kind of stuff as well.
It's just Bunters Yard. Everything's called Bunters Yard somewhere or other. If you go Bunters Yard on Google, all the links come up pretty much straight away. Or if you just follow me on Instagram, there'll be links on there. You'll find it.
Perfect. Well, Dave, it's been fascinating to talk. Really appreciate you coming and doing it, and I'm sure everyone listening does as well. So thank you very much, and just enjoy what you do and carry on sharing it with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was Dave from Bunters Yard on the RailPeople podcast presented by RailStuff.com. My name's Adam, and I've been bringing you this episode. There is more to come. We've got some really interesting stuff lined up. I think the next one we're going to be doing is a conversation with some of the guys behind Model U, who I think many of you will have come across them by now. So that will be really, really interesting. And in the meantime as well, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Just search RailStuff on there. And you can find, The Shed Part 2 any day now. Hopefully today. If not, maybe tomorrow, and we'll get that up there so that you can see just how badly I'm getting on with the shed. But for now, I'll see some of you at Alexandra Palace and some of you elsewhere. But thank you very much for listening, and I will see you very, very soon.